Good afternoon, everyone. We'll be with you shortly. We're just waiting for some folks to arrive. Good afternoon, everyone. We'll be with you shortly. We're just waiting for a few more arrivals. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Tea at 3 on Wednesdays. Before we begin, I'd like to cover off a few housekeeping items. If you're not able to attend, or if you're know others that would like to listen to today's presentation, it is being recorded and it will be sent out to you after the session in the coming days. And it's also housed on our website under webinars, the tab at the top, or also if you go to the tour itinerary itself, you will find a link to the recording as well. If you have any questions, please type them in the question and answer box and we'll address them at the end of the session so that everyone can hear the questions that are being asked. And then I guess that pretty much covers everything for today. Today's topic is Old Cape Cod, one of my favorite places to go. I used to go every year. It's been a few years since I've been. My special guest today is Donna Williams again, and some of you will remember Donna. She's the tour director that has worked for us for many, many years. And this is one of her favorite trips. I always have to kind of arm wrestle her to see who's going to do this trip. But she is also doing our Magdalen Islands trip. And she was a co-presenter a number of weeks ago when we first started these sessions in talking about the beautiful Magdalen Islands. And we were just chatting before we come on today how exciting the possibility is that our Magdalen Islands very well might go this year because of the announcement yesterday that Prince Edward Island is being bubbled also with the Magdalen Islands. So it may open the opportunity for us to go in late August. And so we're excited about that. So if there's an interest in that, please listen to the recording of a number of weeks ago or call Peggy in reservations and ask her to get your name down on that trip. So without further ado, as I said, we're going to jump right into today's presentation on Cape Cod. Our tour that we're presenting is a tour for 2022, September 12th of 2022. And remember that even the trips that are going next year, if you're booking this year, the deposit is only $50 per person to get your name down. So keep that in mind. Also remember that like all of our trips, if you're outside of the Halifax area, because normally our departures are either from the Annapolis Valley, Halifax, Dartmouth, and depending on where we're going, it could be en route to New Brunswick and pickups throughout New Brunswick as well, depending on which border that we're taking. But if our regular pickup spots don't work for you and you're 50 kilometers outside of one of our pickup spots, we will provide you with either transportation into a pickup spot, or better yet, you can do a pre or post night accommodation. So we'll provide you with your hotel at no charge prior to your trip or at the end of your trip, and to look after the parking of your vehicle should that be required to join one of our trips. So with that said, like I said, September 12th of 2022, it's a nice little short getaway. And our beautiful motor coach here is one of the coaches that are probably going to be used on the trip. And as you know, we don't actually own motor coaches, but we charter them from our preferred partner, Coach Atlantic. And they have a couple wrapped coaches that we use on our trips. And this one depicts the beautiful images from Atlantic Canada. And on the other side of the motor coach, it has the beautiful outbound images of some of the trips we do, like cruises and Nashville and other places like that. So we try to tell both sides of the story of the company. The coach that you're looking at was new last year in 2020. So, you know, it's not getting a lot of use during the pandemic, and hopefully we'll still have it in play in 2022. Our first overnight, we're going to leave Halifax and like I said, travel through Nova Scotia into New Brunswick, cross at the border, and end up in Bangor for our first overnight. We're staying at the Quality Inn, not far from everything that you need to do in Bangor if you want to go out shopping, or the restaurants. I know a lot of people like to go to the Olive Garden just across the street, or Applebee's, or some of those chains are very close by. And now I'm going to turn it over to Donna, because when we leave Bangor, we're going to head to beautiful Cape Cod. And Donna, are you there?
Yes, thank
Perfect.
you. Thank you, Richard. Okay, so after our overnight in Bangor, we're gonna depart Bangor the next day and making our way down to Cape Cod. We're gonna be stopping for lunch and coffee breaks along the way. And our afternoon stop is gonna be in Plymouth. And Plymouth is, we're going to meet a local guide, and she's gonna join us and tell us all about Cape Cod. She's gonna be with us for the duration of the tour on the Cape, which is really nice. It's always nice to have a personal touch from somebody who actually lives in the area, that can give us all kinds of information that you wouldn't find like in a guidebook or anything, what it's like to actually live there. So she's going to meet us in Plymouth, and we're going to do a little tour of Plymouth. And Plymouth is where the Pilgrims came and landed in 1620. They came over on the Mayflower, and there's actually a replica of the Mayflower there, which we'll see. But we're going to go to the Forefathers Monument first. And look at that, isn't it amazing? It's a
It is
beautiful,
amazing, Donna. And
beautiful.
one of the things I wanted to say is that I love having the local guides, especially on Cape Cod, because they have that strong accent.
Uh-huh.
And they often have a lot of gossip and scuttlebutt. And so when you're traveling along the countryside, they know a lot of funny little stories, and that kind of adds to the trip in a big way. And on your way down to Plymouth, of course, you'll be skirting through Boston, so you'll get to see the skyline. And for a lot of people, just the change in scenery, the sandy soil, all of that. And Plymouth is certainly one of my favorite stops, as you say. It's got the early history of America and North America along, like we do here in Nova Scotia and other parts. But no, the monument is fabulous.
It's gorgeous, and it's 81 feet high, granite monument. It's absolutely beautiful. And if you go around, we'll stop there so you can take some pictures of it. If you go around and see, you'll see the names of the passengers that came over on the Mayflower before they got to Plymouth. And it's an absolutely beautiful statue. It's the largest solid granite monument in the United States.
This is one of those stops that I always get kind of a chuckle out of, because in the American way, I mean, all of the big monuments are built in this one is a huge covering over Plymouth Rock. And when I first went the first time, I had this expectation of this huge rock. And so I'm going to leave it to you to tell kind of the story of this.
I was the same, Richard, the first time I ever went there, and no one in the office prepared me for this, because it was kind of like a joke. Nobody wanted to tell me. You get down there and you see these big pillars and this big place where they have the rock. And so you're going over there, and I was expecting, there I was with my camera with everyone else, and we were expecting to see this big, huge boulder. And this is what we seen.
Well,
So
and yeah, and the fact that it's kind of cemented back together. So
yeah,
it was kind of surreal to me. I used to say it's a Plymouth Pebble, but with the huge, building built around it, and there on the sand, and it's fun. It makes it fun, and so
yeah,
it's nice to really go and see the site and have the visit there.
yes. And there's a replica of the Mayflower 2. And the Mayflower 2, the original Mayflower, I should say, was the one that brought the Pilgrims over. They carried about 102 passengers, and they actually landed around Provincetown on the Cape, and they spent 5 weeks there before actually heading over to Plymouth. And Plymouth is where they decided to make their community. And so that's why you see the rock there and the Mayflower and the Forefathers Monument in Plymouth.
And I always find it amazing when you start getting Plymouth, because you're not far from the Cape when you're in Plymouth. But you have the huge population of Boston and all that traffic. And then you start, heading towards this beautiful resort getaway. And you would expect, it to be maybe busy like Boston or that kind of thing, but it really is a relaxing and wonderful community here, even here in Plymouth. It's, you come off the highway and it's very much a small scale, community and very interesting.
It is, and the scenery is so pretty. It's, everybody's there with their cameras, and we have a little bit of time in Plymouth to walk around and take some pictures of the harbor and go get an ice cream and so on. It's just a nice little stop. Everyone enjoys it there.
It really is. The
Um,
houses are pretty and just a
yeah.
beautiful setting.
And then we continue back on the highway, making our way to the Cape. When we get to the Cape, we're going to be crossing the Cape Cod Canal, which you see in the picture there, going across on the Sagamore Bridge, taking us onto the Cape.
And the Cape itself is a unique feel, and like I said, the accents and the small town feel of it all. But yet, you're only less than an hour from Boston.
And there we are. After we make our way along, we'll continue on to Yarmouth, and we're going to be staying at the Blue Water Resort for a 3-night stay. Isn't that gorgeous? It's located right on the beach. How are you going to get anything
Yeah,
better than that?
it's a beautiful beach, and like I said, all the properties on Cape Cod, you don't find a lot of the big name properties. They're all kind of family owned, small kind of properties. Very reminiscent, I guess, of the feel of Prince Edward Island, but certainly a different color sand. But like I said, you can't get much closer to the beach than that, and the property itself has had renovations recently, and once again, a beautiful view of that beach, Donna.
Wow, isn't it beautiful? I remember staying there the last time I did the tour, staying on the Cape right on the beach like that. And I'd get up so early in the morning anyways, and I would just go out and walk on the beach in the morning, and private beaches. So it was nice, and, hardly anybody there. It was just gorgeous.
And the sunrises are probably quite beautiful.
Mm, makes me want to go there now.
Yes, for sure.
And you'll see they have an outdoor pool. They also have an indoor pool. There's a restaurant and a pub on site. So what a beautiful location. What a beautiful
Well, and certainly
property.
don't forget your swimsuit. And I guess how that day works is we leave Bangor in the morning. We're into the Plymouth area, like you said, lunchtime-ish, and then we're on to the Cape, for you to enjoy an early evening. And there's an example of the 2-bedded rooms, which look
Hmm.
lovely.
Yeah, really, really nice rooms.
Then the next day.
Okay, and the next day we're going to be heading out for a day of touring, and we're going to have our local guide with us again. We're going to be traveling Route 6A, which is the Old Kings Highway, making our way along Cape Cod National Seashore. You're going to be seeing different windmills like this. This is the East End windmill, which is the oldest one on the Cape. So we'll stop maybe at this one, maybe at some of the others, to take some pictures of the windmills along the way. The scenery is really pretty. Your guide is going to explain the different types of houses on the Cape, and as we say, we have a Cape Cod style house, what the difference between a full Cape, a half Cape, and so on. So you'll get to see all the different types of houses along the way as well.
Well,
And
and it's
there's one of
interesting that all of the rules you'll learn about, living on Cape Cod comes with a whole lot of rules of what you can do with your property and not do with your property, color wise and all of those kind of things. It's
That's
very
right.
interesting.
It is very interesting. And that's, again, another part that's really great about having a local guide join us. And there's one of the lighthouses. I believe that's Nauset Light, that we'll see. We'll see many, many lighthouses when we're on the Cape.
And that's a beautiful drive. And one of my favorite days is always the day to Provincetown. It's such an artsy kind of community and very interesting, but just the drive is lovely.
Hmm. And we'll stop en route to Provincetown. We're going to stop at the Cape Cod National Seashore. They have visitor center there. We'll get a chance to go in. They have washrooms, of course, and gift shop, and a little museum and a bookstore. So you can take some pictures outside, just stretch our legs a little bit before continuing on to Provincetown.
If I remember correctly, that's right on the beach as well, isn't it?
Well, you're overlooking it. Yeah, you can take
Yes.
pictures.
And then we arrive in colorful Provincetown with all those sand dunes and kind of the view back towards Boston across the bay.
I love it. I always say I'm going to go back there on my own personal vacation and book something there and just stay. I just love it. I love the drive, like you said, the drive and some of the little cottages along the way that you see. It's just beautiful. Um, so once we get to Provincetown, you're going to have some free time for shopping and get something for your lunch. You can see here, it's a really funky little community, like lots of little gift shops and restaurants. There's a Portuguese bakery there. The picture that you're looking at is the Lobster Pot restaurant, where you can certainly get a really nice lunch there. All kinds of places to eat and shop, and you'll have some time to do that. And also, while we're in Provincetown, you're going to have some time to either choose to go on a whale watch, which will be quite exciting. You'll have a naturalist on board to give you the descriptions of the different types of whales, different marine life and seabirds, learning all about those. And if you're not really interested in doing a whale watch, there's some pictures there. Isn't that something?
Well, it's funny. I always find, well, why would we offer a whale watch in Cape Cod when we have such beautiful whale watching here in Atlantic Canada? Well, the crazy thing is a lot of us never take advantage of what we have in our own backyards. So in some cases, I've had people that get on a whale watch outside of our region, and it's the first time on a whale watch. But the whales are certainly plentiful there. And like I said, it's a beautiful spot to do it.
That's right. And if your whales are not your thing, you can come and do the dune tour. And the dune tour is something completely different. I've not seen one anywhere else except for on the Cape. And we get our group, we go in these Chev Suburbans and we go up into the sand dunes. And what we do is we go on restricted beaches, which means cars can't go in there. This fellow has a special license that he can access these beaches, so they're totally secluded. You're driving up and down these huge big sand dunes. It's really, really fun. You'll see some like artist shacks in there, like little shacks where artists go to paint pictures and so on. There's no electricity or anything like that, but you'll see them there. And then down on the beaches themselves. And like I say, there's no people on these beaches except for us. There's no access to them except for us going on this dune tour. So you'll have an opportunity to see like seals and stuff just laying around on the beach because they're not used to having people there. So it's a great spot for pictures. It's a great spot for walking on the beach, and it's really, really fun
Well, the
for us.
first time that I did it, I thought, are we crazy putting people out in these vehicles? And of course, you're, a few people in each vehicle, but we laughed. Our group, we had so much fun going up and down and around because I mean, it's not your typical smooth drive. I mean,
No, it's
you're
great.
comfortable, but you're bouncing around, and it's a great laugh. And then, like I said, it's not something I've ever done until I did it a number of years later. I was out in Oregon, and they had a similar thing, but they were more in like all-terrain kind of vehicles as opposed to a vehicle like this. So it is really unique. And as you say, I've all the years I've gone to Cape Cod, I've actually never spent an overnight in Provincetown. I've always stayed in Hyannis or other places, but I've not done that. So I said maybe you and I should be heading down to Provincetown for a few days. But here's another example of the dunes and some of the hills you're going to climb, and
Well, the hills, and you slide down them. It's just like we're driving on snow instead of sand or ice or something. You just slide down. It's so much fun. And everybody just loves it. It's just really, really something different. Really fun.
it's like a sled.
Yeah.
And so then we're back to the hotel for another night at our beautiful resort. And then the next day, another one of my favorite days, and it's always a challenge for me, is this the year we should do Nantucket, or is this the year we should do Martha's Vineyard? And certainly for 2022, we're off to Nantucket eventually. So tell us a little bit about how this day lines up.
Okay, so we're going to have our breakfast at the resort included as usual, and then the local guide will be joining us. We're going to be doing a tour around Hyannis in the morning. So we're going to learn all the history of Hyannis, the Cape. We're going to learn about the Kennedys and all of the Kennedy history. We're going to drive past. You can see, we don't visit the Kennedy compound. You're not allowed on there, but we can see it as we're driving around, you'll be able to um, see that in the area as well. We're going to see the Kennedy Memorial. This is part of Hyannis as well. You're going to see the Kennedy Memorial, and we're going to stop there so you can take some pictures. That's really, really pretty spot. And at the same location, you're also going to see the Korean War Memorial. And we're going to be stopping there. That's an 8-foot bronze statue there, dedicated to the veterans. So we'll be able to take some pictures there. It's a very pretty spot, just a leisurely stroll around and take some pictures. And even though you're in Hyannis, you're also going to see some beaches along the way. You'll see the beach where the Kennedys, when they were growing up, you'll see the beach that they used to play on, and so on. We're going to see St. Francis Xavier Church, which is always referred to as the Kennedy Church, because that's the church they would attend whenever they were in town. They would go to that particular church with the Kennedy pew as well. Just beautiful. We'll see Rose Kennedy's garden, and like I say, there's just a lot of Kennedy history that you're going to be learning about.
Yeah, it's a beautiful area for sure. And then we're going to board. When I was going to Cape Cod, having done this for over 30 years, it used to be the regular size boats, and you spent a few hours getting over and a few hours getting back. But with technology changing and Highline Cruises being the main operator there, you can see some of the beautiful homes in the background this one's coming into the harbor, but as you're departing the harbor, you're going to see lots of opportunities to see beautiful properties. But there's a high-speed catamaran now that takes us over.
Yeah, sure makes a difference going over there in an hour instead of 2. Makes a huge difference. But what you just said is right. I mean, the beautiful homes, I mean, huge, you can't even describe, huge, big, beautiful mansions that you'll see. And they usually do a little bit of a narration on the ferry as you're coming, when you're leaving Hyannis heading out. As you see these homes, they'll tell you a little bit about whose home it was, or who owns it, or a little bit
You
of
always get a
dialogue.
view of the Kennedy compound, as you're
Yes.
looking over towards it, and various other, you'll get told the various stories, and just the yachts in the harbor itself are something to see on a normal occasion.
Big, beautiful homes, and most of them are summer vacation homes. They only use them for a couple of weeks a year. Just amazing, the size of them, just gorgeous. And we're going to stay on the ferry, and we're going to make our way over to beautiful Nantucket. And then once we arrive in Nantucket, we're going to come off the ferry, and there's all kinds of things to do once we get to Nantucket. You're going to have there's all kinds of shops or restaurants, pubs, if you want to go have a beer or something like that, souvenir shops. We're going to do an island tour with a driver guide on a little bus that you see in the picture there. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful island. I love Nantucket, and learn all about the different people that live on Nantucket, many celebrities that own property there. You'll learn about that on the tour as well, and stop for some beautiful pictures.
For sure. And then there's a typical home on Nantucket for sure.
Yes, the gray and the white. And once we get back to after our little bus tour, you'll have more time to explore the Nantucket area. You can walk here, what you're looking at in the picture, all along the harbor area, and you can also explore the different shops. You can go up a couple of streets, and you can do a visit at the Whaling Museum. And Nantucket was once the whaling center of the world. I mean, just huge industry in Nantucket. So you can learn all about the whaling industry, which will include the admission for you to visit the Whaling Museum, which is quite an interesting museum for those that are interested in doing that.
Well, and yes, and it's still just even a beautiful walk to get there down the side streets and the beautiful little homes. And like I said, it's nice to stop somewhere and get an afternoon ice cream cone or a little snack.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. and like we say, you have a little bit of free time. It's not a rush day. You'll have plenty of time to explore. You can explore the gift shops, some of the other shops further uptown for some of the residents that are living there. A little bit more expensive, but those a lot of people have a lot of money on on Nantucket as well. So
Well, it's just nice, even as a museum piece, to walk in and look at some of the things, and like I said, there's something for everyone there, and easily we have a little over 4 hours of time over there total. With our guided tours usually about an hour, if I remember correctly, and
yes.
then just some great time to explore before we reboard our ferry to head back for our final night on beautiful Cape Cod.
Yeah, and then head back into Cape, and then we'll have some dinner, and that'll be the end of that day. And then the following day, we'll be going back to Bangor,
And we
making our
always have
way.
some surprises and stops. We make a day of it
Yeah,
on the
that's
way
right.
back, and so people enjoy that. Back to the same hotel that we began at in Bangor, and then we'll go Bangor back to Halifax with our drop off. So, like I said, it's a nice little short getaway. Beautiful spot if you've never been, and even if you have been, once again, it's a perfect time of the year to get away in September, and Donna
That's
will
right.
more than
Yes.
likely be your host because she tends to take this trip every year it goes. So
It's not as crowded in September. I mean, Cape Cod is very, very busy in the summertime, but because we're going in September, the kids are gone back to school and stuff like that. So it's a much more leisurely paced atmosphere, and it's beautiful. You're seeing the sand dunes here, and we visit probably 3 or 4 different beaches besides the one that we're staying at our hotel. Just with our local guide, and she's taking you to these different beaches just to see them because you would think they look the same, but they all look pretty different. It's quite interesting. Do the walk on these different beaches, take some pictures, look at the big, beautiful sand dunes, which, I mean, we have beaches here, but we don't have sand dunes like they do on the Cape, that's for sure. So it's just a beautiful trip. It's always been my favorite trip. And then a trade-off with the Magdalens, because that's kind of like a beachy kind of trip too. So I love them both.
yes, for sure, we all dream for a little travel. So it's been a long lockdown. So I'm going to look to see if we have any questions here. One of the questions is regarding meals. There's breakfast every day included, and depending on where we're at, there are some other things included as well,
That's right. Yeah.
and all the sightseeing that we've mentioned. And so that really concludes it, Donna. I don't see anything else there, but thank you all for joining Donna and I today. And we're going to look at the next slide here, which gives you a complete rundown of the itinerary, September 12th to 17th, 2022. If you secure your spot now, it's only $50 deposit. And then you're all set until next year. 45 days before departure, you would be required to pay your final payment. And like I said, it's a wonderful little getaway. So like I said, thank you for joining us today. Join us next week for our last tea at 3 on Wednesdays. We're taking a summer break, but we're going to cover beautiful Ireland and Scotland. And basically, that's June 23rd, next week at 3 p.m. And that trip will be traveling in 2023. So it gives you lots of time to learn about it and save for it. And we'll have a special guest again covering off Ireland and Scotland. And then we're going to restart up our series again of Tea at 3 on Wednesdays in later August the 25th. And the registration will be available so that you can be reminded for August, and that will be once again at 3 p.m. And we're going to cover our Thanksgiving Day parade in New York City. We'll see if things change and allow us to travel this year. If not, we will have our date for 2022. But once again, a very popular destination. If you have any questions at all, please reach out to reservations at atlantictours.com, or better yet, give Peggy a call in our reservations office. She'd love to have someone to talk to. and she can walk you through everything. So thank you, Donna, for co-hosting today, and
Thank you.
hopefully you'll be traveling soon on both the Magdalen Islands and other trips, but then to host this one in September of next year would be a wonderful opportunity. So
Thank you.
so that's it for today, and we'll be sending out the recordings in the coming days, and please forward it to anyone that you might have that's interested.